Oh man, so last time, I don't know if y'all remember, but last time I said how I have a system that sends out all my messages on Patreon so I can organize my questions for these. Turns out that last week it just randomly stopped working and I wasn't aware of it. So, basically I said nuts to that, and from now on I'm just gonna be getting the questions from Patreon directly and note them down. And so, again, I apologize. So, today's going to have a lot of stuff to go through, so I might go a bit quicker than usual because we got basically the equivalent of stuff for like a week and a half. Let's go! Hey there, everyone, this is Valcow. This is a Patreon video. You're aware of this. I got one question on YouTube. Valcow, a genie played a prank on you, and now your channel is owned by the president of the Talk House. Who that president is? Well, that's the best part. The Talk House organized an election, and you better run for it, or lose all your channel stuff for some reason. Why would your campaign look like, and would you appeal to nostalgia and resistance to change in it, since you're technically the incumbent, Sapphire Crook? Well, obviously, all I would do is I'd make one single channel, one single video, where basically I would just show a very loose drawing of a cat and say Cat Planet on it. And I'm pretty sure that I would win with a majority vote of, at the very least, 80%. I think that's, fair to assume. So I'm not worried about your magical impossible situation. I got it covered. Zmovo asks, last week, how did the idea of making a forum for your fans came about? And how do you feel about the way the Talk House has evolved over the years? What do you think of Earthbound? No relationship between the two questions, I'm assuming. Basically, honestly, like, if it was just of me, the Talk House would not exist. The Talk House is the idea of Tellus Ford, the original admin of the Talk House. Basically, one day he contacted me in a PM, and he was like, "Hey, Cal, how would you feel if we made if I made a forum for you?" And he was like, "I'll take care of all the costs, and I'll take care of running it. You don't have to do anything." And, under these conditions of me not having to do anything, I figured, what did I have to lose? Why not? Sure, that could be fun. And so, together, we kind of like just created the first few pages of the Talk House, kind of like organized something in a very ad hoc way, as tends to be. And that was really all there was to it. So I was always extremely hands-off of the Talk House, for better or for worse. Mostly for better, I'm sure. But yeah, there's really not much more to the story than that, I have to say. If there was any more action and activities in that, it was completely lost to the forever grip of history. Which, no, there's really nothing much more to that than that. It's just... And then it grew and grew and grew, and if... I know some people have issues sometimes with how the Talk House is and whatnot. I think it mostly does what it sets out to be. It's just a silly little weird place. Personally, I am not aware of mostly what's going on in Talk House. I basically just read the occasional thread in the gazebo. Sometimes I'll sneak into the projects and the art thing, but not as much as I used to. And I'll look around in the Let's Play thread. My involvement with stuff is extremely minimal. For a while I tried to be more active within the Talk House, but then that stopped. So, because, the year was over, so now I could start doing things again. I don't know. So that's basically, So, I'm fairly happy with what's going, mostly. It's not always easy, but, I don't always agree with what everyone does, but for the most part, I'm pretty happy with it. I'm happy that it exists, for all intents and purposes, it almost shouldn't be, but it is, and I don't know, it does it's a thing. I don't even know where I'm going with that anymore. Horikawa! Oh yeah, Earthbound, that's right. My thing, Earthbound is great. Gameplay-wise, it's what it is. It's basically Dragon Quest, except with the weird slot for health gimmick, which more or less may or may not actually, be something you'll encounter that really as a meaningful thing during the game. There's a lot of really good ideas, though, and there's some interesting meta thing it does. I think it's super good for... Like, I don't care much at all for the gameplay, but the flavor and the writing is good enough that it doesn't really matter, I suppose, is a way to put it. Which I think is what a lot of people also think, because, like, in terms of gameplay and whatnot, like, it is just, select things from a menu, and also you have a limited inventory in a game that has a zillion items and chest equivalents everywhere, which is kind of lame, kind of not exactly the best thing ever, but it's pretty alright. It's amusing. It has a lot of charm, and it was marketed, like, super terribly. That's the Earthbound story. So as I said, Horikawa, what do you think is the number one problem, at least in your opinion, that first-time level designers make? The number one problem is that they do not know when to stop. It's something that even, like, even people who have made a lot of levels sometimes still fall to, is that it's extremely easy to, fall in the trap of, I've talked about this before, but it's the trap of, oh no, I have to make my level interesting, but I don't know why, and how did this happen? What? Why is it all zoomed out? Weird. Sometimes you press buttons and then you just, I don't know what's going on. Not this weird glitch again. How can I fix this? Help. Where's the hand tool with this? Well, anyways, as I'm trying to fix this here, like, this is so dumb. I guess I'll be working in this tiny corner now because garbage. No, this is, okay, I might be able to, okay. But then now it's, what? What is going on? Why? No! Stop! What? How does this happen? Okay. Well, now officially this is the image. The size of the image somehow. Yeah, so... Beginner mistakes. What? This is... Sorry, I'm keep getting distracted. Yeah, it's just, it's so easy to just be afraid that your level will not be interesting. So you just keep adding more stuff and adding more stuff without... And that's just something that's gonna kill your level. This is something I've struggled a lot in most things forever. Like in art classes and whatnot, often I'll overwork an element by just continuously adding more and more stuff, and I would constantly, and it's something I've struggled with myself, and video game being not an exception. But like if you look at a lot of levels, like in the lower ranks and contests and whatnot, that's often the thing that happens. People just keep adding things that really, like, don't really contribute anything to the thing itself. To the quality of the project and itself. Like, it's just adding stuff for the sake of adding stuff without really thinking about it. I think that might be another comment that beginning level makers will do also, is that they'll just kind of like jump in and just kind of like improvise on the spot. Like, there's a lot of activities where that is completely fine. That is something you can totally do, and you'll end up with something good. But levels is something that, like, everything needs to fit together. Everything needs to fit thematically. Not necessarily not thematic in the sense of thematic, but in gameplay thematics. And that's, I think, the key to figuring out if, like, it's a beginner level maker, is that there won't be any. It'll just be stuff. And that's the biggest mistake. Once you understand that there is a gameplay theme that you need to circle level for it to make coherent sense, that's the first step towards, kind of like upgrading from being a beginner into being, into going to the realm of actually doing stuff and things. I mean, this is not the best one of these ever, but here we go. Crispy asked, Maggle, and eventual next episode of A2XT aside, how much are you looking forward to the other Talkcast collabs, like Jump and AZCT? I'm super looking forward to those too, for sure. There's not really much more I can add to that, since I think like Jump is getting pretty far in. I haven't checked out in a Zelda thing in a while. I'm looking forward to them quite a lot. And Jump, I wasn't sure if I was going to be playing it, because I get the feeling it's like on a kind of a insane difficulty threshold, but I still might anyways. It's going to depend on a lot of things. But no, I am super looking forward to them. I like them because I am super, like, completely hands-off, completely out of what I'm doing things. So, like, because of that, I don't know, to me, it's, in a sense, it's like, it's a strange thing, kind of exciting. Like, ASMT and whatnot, I know that was specifically targeted for me, but these are completely independent. Like, I don't know, it's hard to describe. It is very difficult to describe the feeling. I don't know, I'm just kind of like looking forward to, but without any sort of like expectation of sorts, make it a little bit more exciting in a sense, because it's a ground plate. That's not an actual expression. One other reason why I am really looking forward to Jump is that now that it's helmed by World Peace, like, there's gonna be some really interesting bits of technology in a little game that started out as being just a little simple compilation type thing. So I think that's gonna be pretty rad. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Where am I? Okay. Anonymous Bloodlust is all. Who do you hold personally responsible for the faking of the moon landing? Well, obviously, it's the rabbits that are currently living on the moon. That say, hey, no, we can't show them how it's all made up here, and so they made like footage that looked fake and sent that down to Earth, and that's how we ended up with the fake moon landing. He also asks, when are you going to resurrect the plate? The internet needs more recordings of you reading inappropriate comics. So, the plate existed purely as a reaction to another webcomic podcast that none of you probably know, and that is lost to the others, I think, by now. A little something called The Dish. It was a webcomic podcast on the hosting that used to host my comic, called Comic Dish. And it was extremely kind of like, for a thing that's called The Dish, it was extremely milquetoast and very, people agreeing with each other about obvious things a lot. And it was extremely low impact, and I don't know, me and AOD just kind of like had a reaction to it, especially because what happens that for a while they kept missing weeks. So we're like, okay, we'll fill it in on the site with our own webcomic, where The Dish would normally focus on, like, skills you need and tool sets you might want to do with webcomic. We just sought out terrible stuff and made fun of it and read from it and stuff, and it was a lot of fun, but it's a product of its time. I don't think it would work as well if we're to do it again. And also, it's worth saying that nowadays it'd be a lot harder to organize, because my buddy AOD now, he works and stuff, and apparently when you work and stuff, you suddenly lose out a lot of free time throughout the days, and that's been an issue. Nowadays, when we got time, we like to just do things instead of having to do things, if you understand the nuance of those two expressions, because I think there is one, but I might have just been misled by Captain Crunch. Who knows? I'm going to assume you. Not Anonymous Bloodlust, but you. The other person reading these words that I'm sending vocally through well, not an MP3 file. This is an MP4 because it's video too. This is getting confusing. Horicall is all also related to my Zelda question. Have you played any of the Ys series, or the series that's just the letter Y with an S? Or considered them for an LP? They're pure hack and slash goodness, or hack and bump in the case of 1, 2, and 4. Well, fun fact, I owned Ys 3 for the Super Nintendo when I was a kid, and although I didn't care much for the grinding, it was a bit too hard for me, I think, because I didn't take my time to do stuff a lot, and I was trying to charge in all the time everywhere, so I 100% dependent on that one ring that boosts your strength to do any damage on any boss in the game. That was cool. But, I don't know, like, maybe, like, it's the category of game that I used to just not really, like, have in my mindscape, because like, for the longest while, I just didn't play anything that was not either a ROM hack or a super indie game, but like I've been loosening up the games that I'd be considering for Let's Plays now, so I guess it's something to consider, especially since the series is pretty old. I just don't really see myself the attraction to it. Like, it's not the first thing I'd pick, especially since I have so many things that people want me to play and that I personally want to play, and like future sequels of games I did play and stuff, that like it's not priority number one. Doesn't mean that I will never play them in a Let's Play forever and ever. I'm just saying, don't consider it a done deal. But it's not impossible. Nothing is impossible, except phasing through matter in cold fusion with current technology we have. Kitikami's all, I wonder if Raukau not recognizing the Talk How Sings song is really just that a lot of people don't know that song is Space Oddity. It's a pretty famous song, but I think most people who hear it just assume it's called Major Tom, or Ground Controlled Major Tom, or something like that, and wouldn't have any idea it is called Space Oddity, just from hearing it. Well, the fact is, when I said I don't look at a gazebo a lot, I don't look at a gazebo a lot, so I didn't know what song was actually being played at the point, so yeah, I'm a good host. Swirly Bombs all, oh man, finally I remember catch up with watching these. They're surprising and relaxing to listen to at work. Apologies if this might already been asked. How much time per day do you generally spend making editing videos? What do you tend to do when you're not making editing videos? Also, what would be your dream job / career? Is it art, games, translation, etc.? Assuming everything goes perfectly well on both games, I would end up with a 15-minute video for each game that requires 0 editing. So for playing here, is like a pure 30 minutes, includes setup for editing and whatnot for both game, add a whole maybe 2 minutes. Then you add in like production time and upload time. Assuming the games are fairly small in terms of screen size, like we're talking about a full work day of maybe 1 hour. So there you go. When I'm not, however, that never happens. Like, that is the ultimate, like, super most perfect recording sessions and whatnot. That doesn't happen a whole lot. It's very rare. And what takes the most time typically is editing. You know, especially if I die a lot, I want to hunt down all the good deaths and whatnot. Normally I'm looking at around 2 hours-ish. Rest of the time is either visual research, working on my comic, and, I do a lot of readings. I like to read. I got a few threads I follow on Something Awful and stuff like that. So it's nothing too exciting. I barely play any video games. Sometimes I'll just get in some Binding of Isaac or Skullgirls or something. And, yeah. Like, I don't live a very exciting life. That much is not surprising to anyone here. know what would be my dream job, honestly? Like, I'm kind of currently doing it now, if you think about it, because what I do is now I get paid for... give me a moment. Sorry about that. What was I saying? I forget. Yeah, because, you know, like, I'm basically at this point having most of my income coming from playing video games and, you know, editing it together in something that's remotely entertaining. And that's super fun to do, and I get super lots of time now to, you know, try to work on my art and try to work on my comic and stuff. I don't know if that's time well spent, but, like, that's about as perfect as I could ask, other than the fact that this leaves me with relatively low amounts of opportunity to leave the house, unfortunately. Sometimes I'm kind of feeling that, but, you know, what can you do? Everything, like, perfection doesn't really exist. If the Let's Play bubble was to burst and I'd have to find an actual real job, in that case, art would be ideal, honestly. Translation's like my number 2. John Kane asks, would you mind talking about some lesser-known Super Mario World mechanics? Tell us about one or two that you think we might not know about. Man, what do you don't know about? Like, put on the spot like that, I'm not really sure. Like, there's not a million mechanics in Mario World. Like, if you got a key in Yoshi's mouth and you get a timeout, and where the key is in Yoshi's, like, when you die with Yoshi from timeout, you jump off the screen like normal, except Yoshi is still under you. If you got a key inside Yoshi's mouth while this is going, and the key ends up overlapping the keyhole, this will be counted as unlocking the secret exit, and, you know, will open up any paths or whatever. I don't know if that's really a mechanic, because that is literally a glitch, but it's super interesting, and you only see it in, like, Kaizo wackiness, which, honestly, yeah, it's like, that's a pit trick. It's not something you want in a real game, but I guess that counts, because that's pretty obscure. Another thing that's not used a lot is the grab an item while riding Yoshi, because it requires some really framey position, like, precision to do that, where you're basically sitting on Yoshi's back and while holding an object in your hand. It doesn't do a whole lot of good, except it does let you double jump while keeping the key with you, whereas otherwise if you double jump, like, the key or other object in Yoshi's mouth is gonna stay inside his mouth. Again, it's mostly going to be use in Pit or, you know, other games that fully and 100% are made with the expectations that you will be using tools. In terms of mechanic though, like, there's not a whole lot of them. It's a fundamentally fairly relatively simple game. Like, it has a lot of complex mix-up of stuff, but fundamentally, and that's its strength, Super Mario World is not a very complicated game. Kaika, I'm not sure how to pronounce that. One of the game series I'd like to see resurrected, or at least explored further, is Wario Land. I think would work great as sort of a modern time Rayman Origins or Shantae type of game. Just mentioning this because they are also kind of wacky and humorous like Earthworm Jim, at least to a lesser extent. And I guess my question is, what do you think of the Wario Land series? Notice that in all those years of Mario's LPs never really touched on a big-bellied pseudo-nemesis. The only Wario game I played is Super Mario Land 3 Wario Land. So, like, the first time he was a protagonist, and, like, in that game it was still mostly a Mario game. Like a general platformer where you ran around and did levels and you beat enemies. Like, with an emphasis on getting coins and whatnot, more so than your typical Mario game at the time, because that kind of changed over time too. But, yeah, I've never played any of the Wario games where like he becomes immortal and most of the enemy interactions give him either slow him down or give him some kind of weird cartoony power up. Why? I guess that, I don't know. There's a lot of games a lot of people like that I just never played because, when you're young, there's a limited amount of game you can play. And, oh yeah, most of the Wario games were on handhelds, and I have not a lot of experience with most handhelds, just out of, I mostly played consoles and some early computer, so that's the answer there. So, yeah, that's about what there is to it there, so... I think it's interesting. They're interesting. They're more like puzzle platformers further you go in. And I do like the flavor they go with the games, where it's all very kind of like ad hoc and kind of, sort of like a clean weird, so like a clean dirty. But that's pretty much where my opinion stops. Is that something I could play in the future? It's in the same as the Ease category there. I wouldn't be against it, but there's just so many things with a bit more priority right now. Of course, this may change the next time we do a Patreon video vote, but unless that happens in some way, maybe one day, but maybe one day. Man, I'm still in the questions from last week. Pengu, oh, not this one though. Pengu Penguinsinzal, you missed my question, probably because I typed in invisible ink. Now you must feel super bad. How are you going to make it up to me? I'm gonna give you another one of my invisible, intangible, all flavor cookies. Is that gonna be okay? Is that gonna be enough? Anonymous Bloodlust is all. If you could have any disease, which one would you pick? The one where everything tastes like cream soda. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that exists. Shinoda is all. French game that never got officially translated, Les Chevaliers du Zodiac, for Nintendo. Well, to be fair, remember, I'm from Quebec, I'm not French. So, it's an RPG so very text-based, and I know you don't like them that much. Then there's an Earl. Let's check out what that Earl is about. Let's go meet up with Earl here. Just give me a moment. Chevaliers du Zodiac, by the way, would translate as Zodiac Knights. I wonder if that's related to Saint Seiya, actually, now that I think about it. That is totally Saint Seiya. That's not French only. Like, that exists in Japanese. So I guess it exists in Japanese and in French. But not in English? I guess that's possible. Might as well ask a similar question. Since you live in Quebec too, have you ever seen that French North American version of A Link to the Past? I've seen like 2 of them, and I live in a very English area, so I'm curious if it's easier to find the heart of the Frenchness. Actually, yes, back in the day, my cousin had a copy of that. It was so confusing, because at the time I lived in Nova Scotia, so of course I had the English version, but I came for, like, the family came over for the holidays, and, that's the thing we did, I always looked at a game he had and whatnot. And I saw you had a French version, and I thought it was super weird, because for some reason they changed the Master Sword to be called Excalibur, which, no, the Master Sword is not Excalibur. Those are not the same thing at all. And that is 100% of all I remember about the French version of Zelda: Link to the Past. Fusion Warriors, what cartoons do you remember most fondly from your youth? And do any of them do you still watch today? Well, no, I don't watch anything anymore, really, in a serial sense, so... there's a show... Okay, well, to be fair, there's a lot of shows I did watch that I just kind of like rebought on DVD. So if you mean that... Yeah, I rewatched them once after I got them in DVD, but probably didn't watch again. Looking at my DVD collection, for example, I do have Daria and Duckman. Those are 2 examples. I guess Samurai Jack, I kind of miss. That's something that often peeks back into my my subconscious. Then Early Dexter's Lab was pretty good, yeah, now that I think about it. Powerpuff Girls. Otherwise, I'm starting to sink too far back and I don't remember clearly enough. Like when I was a young kid, yeah, I watched a lot of like Darkwing Duck, Gargoyles, and Tiny Toons, but I mean, I'm just giving the name of cartoons that people my age have watched and I remember very kind of little. You know, so it's... I don't have any stories about them. I was a kid and I sat on the couch and I was on my butt and I watched the television where moving images were entertaining to me. Oh man. Alan Leland is all... Do you have a favorite film? If so, what is it? Not really, because that's something that changes a lot. Like, I don't have a film that changed my life and I'll forever remember it as my favorite film forever. You know, some days I'll tell you it's Jurassic Park, and sometimes I'll tell you it's Redline, so... I'm not good with these things. Y'all should know by now that if you ask me for a favorite thing, it's either gonna be unfortunately boring, or I won't have an opinion. Teleman's when was the best gift you ever received? What was the worst? Probably my Super Nintendo when I was a kid. Let's be honest here, like, I don't really remember anything super personal or anything. So if I don't remember it, then it mustn't been that great, right? What was the worst? Probably received some socks at some point on a Christmas, and I just don't remember. Those questions are the most awkward ones, because I'm a very average person who has, unfortunately, very average life that is very similar to yours. And I don't know how to spice them up. Like, I don't want to spice them up because I know y'all just want to know, but that's my answer. Zio Mesida, what would you say is the worst thing someone has ever said to your face? He has a few ones, so I'll answer them as I go through them. And I don't know. People don't really say anything to me to my face. When I was growing up, I was a big kid. And, you know, when, I think, no, I'm the kind of person that if you're gonna be insulting, it's gonna be behind my back. So, I can't answer this because I literally do not remember anyone going to my face to tell me something bad. When you order pizza, what do you usually get on it? And do you usually get hot wings or breadsticks or anything with it? I usually don't get anything with it. Normally, I just ask for all dress with either no cheese or half as much cheese as they usually put, and just kind of leave it there. Either that or meat lover, like if meat loving doesn't include ham. I'm not picky. I am not picky at all. Has anyone ever likened your appearance to that of a celebrity? Nope. If you ever did decide to cosplay, is there a particular character you would like to cosplay as? Not really. Has there ever been a character from a video game, TV show, or literary work that you particularly related to? No, not really. I don't make these relation to characters. Sorry. Like, at some point, Fariel said in the video that I was playing the Toho Fighter on, that he was like, oh man, yeah, I can see it, that you'd play as Komashi, and then it's because, no, he's a big person that looks scary, but is pretty friendly, so there you go, except the relation there wasn't made through me. I don't know, like, is that a common thing? Like, that it's something that comes up a lot, but don't really relate to characters all that much. Like, characters, as a definition, all that far-out weirdo lives that are impossible. Like, unless you go all metaphorical, but, like, I don't know, like, and I guess maybe it's because I don't watch really down-to-earth stuff. Maybe. That is very possible. because I'm not that entertained by things that are too much like real life, because I've got enough real life as it is. Also, I would be totally all for Rao making music and curious to see what would come of it. Me too. Ragnaeus, but am I right? Yes, you are. Have you ever dabbled in writing? If so, do you think you're any good at it? And what sort of things do you like to write about? What format do you like to write in? If not, refer back to my first question. Have a nice day. Well, when I was, let's call it start of college, like right fresh out of high school, I did try to write some kind of fantasy novel, except it was garbage, and it was terrible, and it has long been lost to the ethers of an old computer, and never. I just abandoned it and didn't back it up once I changed computer. It was very generic and linear, and like it was almost more like I was writing a video game than an actual story. I think you know what I probably mean by that, so, yup. But indeed. Mikofire, your pronouncement of Finnish is surprisingly not terrible. Good job. What is your favorite subgenre of sci-fi? Time-traveling stories. Pizza Pony, follow up to Proton John's stream question. You don't have to worry about being talkative or entertaining. John's streams are always laid back. During subscriber nights, he gets 3 random subs in a call with him, many of which don't produce videos of any kind, and they do just fine. Not that I'm pressuring you into doing this. If anything, it would be a treat for John, as he's a fan of you. Follow up to demo cosplay question. What say you need to be who says you need to be at a convention? To cosplay. Next time you go to the supermarket, go as demo and buy lots of vegetables using only your feet. Next questions. You write a lot. When you were young, do you remember a show that first made you realize story plot was what made you enjoy it? To where you made sure to watch the next episode to see what happens next. Youngest instance of this was probably when I was a really small kid and watched in French, the show was Les Merveilleuses Cités d'Or. I watched that with my dad. What's that in English? Merveilleuses Cités. Okay, so what's that in English? Let's go here. Yeah, okay, it's Franco-French. That's new to me. What's this called in English, though? Let's see. So then, that's how I translate stuff. Okay, it's just the same thing. The mysterious cities of gold. That's, okay, those are the people. They're the characters. There's a parrot in it. Yeah, that's the first instance. Well, because, you know, at the time I couldn't really appreciate the animation, I don't think. But I was really into the story, and I wasn't, like, we're talking about when I just started or before I was going to school. Like, that's super a long time ago. And, yeah. Oh, wow, really? It started in 82 and it ended in 83, so it was reruns I was watching, obviously. Because it ended when I was 0 years old. But yeah, so you didn't expect that. Do you enjoy driving cars? Were you nervous when you did your driver's test for your license? I do enjoy driving, but I can't drive most cars because my legs are too long and they don't fit well under the steering. But if you got a good car that's made for that, like mine, I super love driving. I wasn't necessarily nervous when I got my license. However, I had to retake my test like 4 times for various nonsensical reasons, because driving people in some places will make you fail for no reasons other than it means that you need to give them more money so that you do the test again. So there you go. D. Did you ever try to watch Cat Planet Cuties that someone gave you in a Christmas Advent thing? It doesn't exactly seem like your kind of anime, so I'm curious what became of it or what your reaction was. Out of curiosity, I did actually watch it, and really it's the show's biggest sin is that it's super boring. It does not hold up my attention at all. Yeah, there's really weird and creepy fan fiction, but like, y'all, I was expecting that. That wasn't a surprise. Man, that's boring. Also, the main character is this super huge schlub that I hate because of his super inane inactivity. He is the worst. So there you go. Crispy, I actually answered this. I guess you reposted this after not being answered. It's about collabs. Dr. Vogelboof, what have been some of your favorite of your one-shot LPs, such as the recent Garbage Cat game, or the games in the Gimmick Jams, and like, they all kind of, I don't know. I haven't ranked them personally, and I haven't watched most of them in a million years. So I don't really have a favorite. Like, you know, it's like asking if you have a favorite kid. Yeah, but you won't admit to it. How many pairs of glasses do you currently own, including old ones that may be lying around for no good reasons? One. I don't even have spares anymore. I just have my one glasses now. I really need to take I really need to set up an appointment for a new eye exam and getting new glasses. It's getting kind of gross, actually, kind of. Also, if you're still taking Patreon video art requests, I'd like to change mine from Caracal to a fox being all happy and adorable. Will do. Anonymous Bloodlust, why did you dodge my questions from last week like a sneaky snake in the grass? Could be that they are too hard-hitting and important, and you fear giving an honest response. Sorry, but the government, I know, just sent me a letter here, and I am not to acknowledge that the government just sent me a letter here. So, Salty Ebbs, do you have any of your art pieces or drawings that are memorable or your favorite? Do you keep any of your art around your house? There's a few pieces in my comics here or there, but if you go to my DeviantArt channel, that is just called Raocow. Well, you know what, I'll save all some time. I'll go and look. Let's see here. DeviantArt. I need to log in, huh? What if I do Raocow Red Whale? Will it delete? Fudge. If I just put Raocow, does it lead to my... So this is stuff I did. Well, this! Cute little whale. Still one of my favorite things. This was actually painted with acrylic on... I think it's wood? Yeah, it was a little, well, really hard cardboard / wood. Still one of my favorite thing ever. It's super small, though. It's smaller than the image you're seeing right now on the video. But it's kind of the exemplary of the kind of stuff that I like. Most of the stuff that's worth it I'm going to put online in some fashion. A lot of stuff that I do is terrible and just gets destroyed. If I have any art around my house, there's another piece of mine that is on the wall. Let's see here. So I'll be able to go click on a Raocow here. This is not organized in the slightest. So how am I going to look for this? I'm not sure. If you go and browse gallery, like it's probably gonna be like way at the end, right? Not next. I'm on 64. 64 is a number. No. There's stuff earlier than that. This is not... it's featured. Okay, so now... But then you just give me next? I can't just go all and just actually look... Well, there's another portrait that's green and shows like half a face. Like, because of my roommate, there's that on the wall in the living room. That's about it. Everything else is in storage. Some of it is at my father's place. That's about it. Enigmatic Dramatic Addict is all. Have you played any Pokemon Mystery Dungeon games? No. What questions shouldn't we ask, and what would your answers be? Don't ask anything about politics and stuff, I guess. Because, like, sometimes religion is fun to talk about, but I feel like politics is just a complete conversation dead end. because it ends up being two people who more or less are invested in things that are just not gonna be convincing one or the other about changing their mind about one or the other. Like, I'm sure there are exceptions, but it's not worth it. It's not worth it. It's just not worth it, man. Micofire. Are you aware, Micofire, that you're contributing into making this way longer than it needs to be? I'm very sorry about this. But yeah, Micofire has 3 questions more. If you could give any one person a hug or a pat on the back, and one other person a punch or slap to the face, who would those people be? You can tell I'm getting tired because my accent has become really weird. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I honestly don't know. Like, I hate it when that happens, but like, it seems like such an obvious thing that you would have a ready-made answer for, but it's, I don't know, I don't like hugging people, so it's really hard to answer. I don't like physical contact. So, I'm just gonna refer to the previous question of butts above. 2. Why do bad things happen to good people? So, because, you know, it's the thing. Like, you know the moss that, kind of like builds up in the vents of your drying, like your clothes dryer, your dryer? You know, particular shade of blue and gray it does? Think about it. What is your persona? I don't know. I don't know enough about the series to know. Don't we not even choose? I can't choose my persona. That's cheating. A persona is a thing you have. I can't choose that. You're asking me to break the laws of science and physics there, Micofire. Shame on you. Virgolon. So there's a game that you play that prompted me to buy it, which then you kind of just rage quit. On the topic, Valda's story got updated a while back with 2 new characters and other content. Would you ever consider giving it another shot? Maybe not in hard difficulty this time. I know it would be tedious since you already got to the ending bit, but at the same point, you never got past that. Capital X. I don't find Valda's story that fun. Like, it's interesting. The art is beautiful, and there's a lot of neat ideas in the spell and whatnot, but I just don't know if it's that interesting to really be worth it, at least not to my own tastes. Sorry if I made you buy the game by accident, but if you had a lot of fun playing it, I mean, that's all good to you. We're all very different people with extremely varying tastes and whatnot, and there's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes it just doesn't work out, and having more characters I don't think is enough. Like, unless they play drastically different, and the path in the game they end up being is drastically different, I have my own. I just got burnt by the fact that you can screw yourself up with a build, and then you need to actually legit farm to be able to, you know, remake your build. Like, no, that's, to me, that was just a, yeah, nope, sorry, I'm out. Horikawa asks the very serious question, is a poem a religion? Unfortunately, as I am not a Harvard alumni, I do not have the culture and, intelligence required to answer such a question. You're aware of that. And Weimar closes this all with, are you pro-scub or anti-scub? I don't care, kind of ambivalent, and what is scub are not valid answers. I'm the guy with the blue shirt in the back. This was it for today, for a week, for day.